Hello and welcome to the 20th Datacloud Global Congress in the south of France. Joining me in Cannes now is Patrick Schütz, CRO, and Scott Newcombe, VP for Hyperscale at German data center operator MainCubes. Guys, welcome to Cannes. How many Dataclouds have you been to?
Scott, you go first. I guess you are the veteran.
Yeah, I've been to many actually. I don't think I'm double digits yet, but I go back to the days of when it was in Nice and then Nice and Monaco. So yeah, it's much better here.
Yeah, you've done 3 locations, more than anyone in this room has.
I started in Monaco 5 or 6 times, and to be honest, they're a worst place to be.
Yeah,
it's not too shabby.
It was very different. Yeah, we did 5 Monacos as like part of this as well, so it was very different from Cannes. But Cannes is beautiful. There's a lot of things to do here.
Absolutely.
There's more things to do here than in Monaco. But look, even though it's quite not busy behind us, outside everything is really busy because people are building the future of this industry and building the future of the world. What's your take, or what's your temperature measure on the data center market globally right now, especially in Europe, especially when it comes to hyperscalers and enterprises, because things are changing. We're building bigger, but enterprises are also diversifying even more into smaller data centers. So how does it all come together? What's your temperature check of the industry?
I mean, let's start with some high-level observations here, okay? I mean, first off, the market has become really dynamic from a technology perspective, mostly driven by AI, hardware suppliers. And this obviously has huge impacts on us as data center operators. And if you compare this to the last, say, 10 years, we were in a slumber compared to what's happening currently. Secondly, it's all about scale. I mean, back in the days, and it's not too long ago, a 10 megawatt facility was big. A decently sized data center. I mean, now it's just a data hall, right? We are talking campuses, hundreds of megawatts, and if you look overseas, even gigawatts. And finally, I would say power is increasingly the issue. I mean, a lot of power constraints, especially here, especially in the markets we operate in. If you look at hyperscalers, I mean, they build these massive campuses strategically located. And for them, it's all about scale and time to market. Enterprises, on the other hand, they employ these edge types of data centers. So for them, it's about latency, regulation, stuff like this. They employ hybrid multi-cloud strategies. So different approaches, absolutely. But I mean, a couple of things they have in common. Both are racing to deploy these AI workloads. Sustainability is no longer optional for both of them. And time to market. I mean, we are seeing a huge shift also in buying behaviors of enterprise clients. I mean, they used to procure like 6 to 9 months in advance, and that simply does not fly anymore. I mean, you have to secure capacity now well in advance.
Has it shifted to, is it days or weeks now, like from 6 months to?
No, I mean, now if you want to secure decent chunks of capacity, you have to look at maybe even 24 months in advance. This is a typical hyperscale buying cycle, but even enterprise customers have to look at these time schedules now.
I guess because power heat is one of the most critical issues that this industry faces, because it has become a power industry.
Absolutely.
What's in the markets you operate in, what's the power constraints? Are there any power constraints? How long does it take to get power? How do you build your facilities from a power perspective?
Yes, I mean, this is our most important factor currently. And to be honest, I mean, a market like Frankfurt, this is one of our major markets, it's rather power constrained. Okay, so long lead times and the grid providers especially, it's not about power production, it's more about transportation. I mean, they are struggling to a certain extent to keep up with demand from operators and clients alike. So we are increasingly looking at other markets. And for us, Berlin is probably the next big hub, at least in Germany, because here we have access to significant power, especially renewable power. So we see a shift to like a second hub, mostly driven, not exclusively, but mostly driven out of power constraints.
And I think to add to that, you know, buyers on scale understand that there is a lead time into power, and it's more about the certainty of that power being delivered, the certainty around the operator that's delivering the solution. So it's, yes, we accept it's a 2-year, 3-year, whatever, 4-year lead in. But if you say it's 2 years, we want it to be 2 years.
Yeah, and actually that's not as bad as some other locations in Europe, because some places are 5 to 7 years. like
Or
you're saying,
more.
and some of them are now 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a site in Amsterdam, and let me tell you, that is
And it's
a whole different
complicated.
ballgame. Yeah.
I was just thinking about Dublin. I was just hearing things about Dublin yesterday, which
Yeah.
is having a harder time than we even thought. That it was already hard. I think beyond power as well, there's been a lot of conversations around sovereignty, data nationalism, data sovereignty. You guys have a tagline of digital sovereignty made in Europe for MainCubes. Before I go into any specific questions about that, what does that mean in the first place?
I mean, like it or not, right? I mean, we are seeing increasing tensions and somewhat of an uncertainty from all the geopolitical situation currently. And I mean, data governance has become a top priority on board level. And for enterprise customers, signing up with a European operator, I mean, solves some of these problems. So they are protected from any foreign jurisdictions. That helps a lot. But even, I mean, most of the hyperscalers, they either announced or already brought sovereign cloud solutions to the market. And we feel like, I mean, their value proposition can only benefit from teaming up with a European operator. So that should actually help them with their go-to-market.
Okay. When you look at sovereignty, though, are we now talking about two types of data? The one that has to stay in the country, so let's say citizens' data, but there has to be some data that does cross the border, that does go into other countries. There has to be shared. We have to share data. A driver's car will not stop at the border in Germany. How does that work? How does that work from a data center operator perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, end of the day, it's what the cloud provider does with the data, right? I mean, if you have an international cloud service provider, they have to make sure how to govern data. But you should not add any additional uncertainty with, I mean, even bringing a data center operator from even another jurisdiction, right? So we can just take out the infrastructure layer here, obviously. And I'm with you, some models to really benefit, you need a global data transfer. That's clear. But end of the day, customers should be in charge what data should go where and process where.
There's never been some very interesting 6 first months of 2025.
Yes.
The world has changed a lot, including Europe.
That's correct.
But then maybe, Scott, maybe more for you. What are hyperscalers really looking for in 2025? I mean, we're 6 months into the year. We've heard $500 billion in the US, $200 billion in Europe. There's DeepSeek in China. There's so much happening all over the world. But what does it mean for Europe, and what are hyperscalers looking for?
Yeah, so, I mean, beyond the stalwarts, you know, they want somebody who's got an operational track record of excellence, somebody that understands the market, somebody that understands the region. So they're all a given, right? But essentially what they're looking for is certainty. They're not just buying capacity anymore, they want to buy certainty. They're looking to somebody who has the ability to deliver when they say they're going to deliver, somebody that can integrate end-to-end with their processes, whether that be from a design and engineering, construction perspective, regulatory compliance, so on and so forth. So timing is everything for these guys, as we all know. So, you know, delays frowned upon, to say the least. So they're looking for large-scale capacity. They're looking for that cohesion and collaboration around design and delivery. But ultimately, they're looking for certainty. They want it delivered when you say you're going to deliver it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Without exception.
Maybe add to this, we believe they also like a partnership approach. I mean, most of them have their global delivery framework when it comes to design and operations. And I mean, we really try to help them when it comes to navigating then all the, let's say, complex local building codes and regulation, and just try to make that happen in any given environment.
Actually, I'll ask you this just to have your take on it. I mean, what's your take on some of the hyperscalers kind of stepping back on some of the projects to rethink them? Some people panicked, some people think it's a rethink. Where do you guys stand?
Personally, I think it's a mini reset. Things have been snowballing for many, many years. You know, at the risk of aging myself, I've been in the industry long enough to remember when cloud first came to Europe on scale, and you know, everybody was going to, you know, the world was going to end essentially, but it was quite the opposite effect, as we all know, in the data center sector. So I think maybe it's just a pause, just to take stock. You know, there was this race, this gold rush to acquire huge scale plots of land, masses of power. The industry rolls on, as always has done, and you know, you look at any level of data or predictions of what's coming over the next 5 or 10 years beyond, it's
mind blowing. It's,
It almost is. It's hard to fathom.
yeah, and they're probably all undercutting as well, because it's probably going to be more than what's being predicted.
Always.
Also, there's the hardware development where we're talking about kilowatt per rack that we've never talked about. And you go into North America, they're already on 300 to 400 kilowatts per rack.
We're in megawatt racks.
So it's completely crazy what's happening. But actually, so going on that point as well, as the hardware evolves and becomes more complex for all these high performance computing capabilities, how does that fit then into the ESG goals that we all have to comply with? You've already mentioned that sustainability is very important, and it is important. You're not even able to get money anymore if you don't have a proper sustainability framework. But how do you merge the two? Does ESG allow innovation, for example? Can you continue doing the things?
Yes, I mean, ESG is an integral part of our business, right? For us, it starts at design. I mean, we try to do sustainability by design, so employ all innovative cooling technologies, liquid cooling, hybrid cooling, you name it, and also doing modular build-outs. That helps a lot. Then obviously sourcing renewable power, actually locally produced power via PPAs. And heat usage is a big thing, especially in Germany. We built that from the very beginning into our designs. And finally, I mean, we integrated ESG metrics across our entire value chain now, part of our cooperation, and the entire company now.
Your heat reuse, where does the heat go to?
Local district heating, and this is something you have to do obviously in the very beginning. When you design, it's really difficult
you
to
can build and then go change it. You definitely can't do that. I mean, it can be very expensive.
Yes.
And disruptive.
Yes. And obviously we are here depending on the utility companies to support us, because we are not a heating company.
Yeah, no. And it's probably not even a worth business model to follow for data centers at this stage.
Yeah.
We'll see where the future takes it. But when you look into, so you already mentioned modular, you mentioned liquid cooling, you mentioned several things, but what would you say are the three main things that makes your data centers AI ready? And especially for what's coming, like we were talking about, for the big demand that's coming, what's the three main things? Or let's do four, so two each, that makes your data centers AI ready.
Sustainable, scalable.
There you go. It's your turn.
It's the easiest ones. I mean, let me just not add, but maybe enlarge on the scalability, right? So we make sure that we have the structural and space to support any expansion that inevitably will happen, right? I guess that's most important. And as Scott said, I mean, we design for high thermal and electrical densities from the very beginning. But to be fair, I mean, if you just look at NVIDIA's roadmaps, that's sometimes a challenge. And I mean, we build data center for 20-year plus, and we are working with a 3-year roadmap here. So that is that's a challenge sometimes.
What's your view of the future? Like, how do you envision the industry in 5 years' time?
The same, but much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely. I don't have a crystal ball, but I guess it's a fair assumption to say.
There's going to be a geographic spread, right? So, you know, we've seen the legacy markets, we've seen expansion into secondary and emerging markets, the Madrids, the Berlins. So I could definitely see, you know, a swathe of growth to the east of Europe. Iberian Peninsula really hasn't taken off just yet, but there's lots of activity there, as we know. So, I mean, there's literally a mass of the world yet to be populated by data centers. So, and with the scale that we're talking about with AI, it's, you know, we're going to need large pieces of land with large pieces of power attached to it.
I was going to say it's all going to come down to power, follow the power, and that will bring new geographies to the map.
Yes,
absolutely.
Especially in the emerging world as well. That's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely.
But so just to quickly finish, so when you look at MainCubes, why would a hyperscaler come to you? What would you say makes you unique in one sentence?
Do you want me to go first?
Take the best points again.
Simply, Simply, we offer a sustainable, flexible, scalable, and trusted solution in legacy and emerging markets.
I mean, I would say you came to the right place. Full stop. But again, I mean, MainCubes provides the local expertise to support hyperscalers, especially with their growth plans in Central Europe.
In the beating heart of Europe, as you were saying before you came on.
Nice description. Thanks.
But Patrick Schütz
and
Scott Newcombe, thank you so much for talking to me.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
As for your home, thank you for watching, and do check our website and social media for the latest global digital infrastructure news from across the globe. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.